Hey, this is Joe Gill here. I'm here to talk to you about Soviet Union and Russia and kind of the differences, or maybe the personality, sort of psychological of Soviet women. Again, it's been since 26 years since I've been there. Gorbachev was in power. They were still communists and all that. Anyway, I tried to shoot this previously, but it was just too long. I got to shorten it up. Bottom line is that the women back then were a little bit down to earth, were just more cut and dry. You can talk to them in any social situation. You can sort of talk to them and get to know them a little bit. Ask them a few basic questions like, who you are, where you're from, and what you do for a living, and then they kind of steer the conversation to whether you have a boy or a girlfriend or something like that. Now, I went on a date with a Russian gal a few years ago who immigrated over here to America the same time I was there in '91. She was trying to tell me that what I experienced over there, this so-called free spirit attitude, or the nonchalant, or the down to earth, or the so-called quick openness, or open-mindedness towards sex, was nothing really different than anybody who's got major high status over here in the West or in America, like a rich person, a famous person, or anybody with money, power, and fame, like a rock star, a movie star, or anything like that. I just went down to more my economical level. In other words, according to what Tom Likas would say, I went to a country or a part of the world of women that I can more than enough afford, so to speak, quote unquote. So, and she was just trying to say that, they weren't any more interested in you, flabbergasted with you, or, in other words, she was saying what I was seeing was a sort of a little bit of a smokescreen or a falsehood and all that. But I had a couple of different experiences, that might, seem a little bit different, that might seem the latter. First of all, what I found intriguing was that when I was over there, when I was getting to know these women, I was basically, in a sense, I didn't know this, unconsciously telling them kind of that it was pretty much a loser. They would ask me about my personal life, and until before that trip, I hadn't really had any sex for 9 months. And they would ask me why I didn't have a girlfriend. And then before I really answered the question or got into it, they would say, well, what is wrong with the women? What is wrong with the women over there? It's not like, whereas if it's in America, you're sitting here socializing with an American chick, and it's like, oh man, honey, and if I were that blunt, say, no, honey, I haven't been laid in 9 months. I can't seem to find a girlfriend, and I don't know what it is, and da 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 da, and I'm just having, you know what I mean. You give some chick a sob story about, and sort of present yourself as this lack of confident fucking loser. I mean, well, what's wrong with you? Or even if you just come up to them and say, yeah, look, I haven't had sex, I haven't had a date, I can't find a girlfriend. Well then, like I said, the American gal or the Western gal will say, well then, what's your problem? What's wrong with you? Whereas I said the same thing to a Soviet woman, then they said, well, they didn't really say, what's wrong with you? They say, what's wrong with the American women over there? So that was kind of a nice, gesture, a breath of fresh air. And so they were wanting to know about that, and they would delve into my personal life, and it was very common. Just what came off is that that's all they really need to know. And I go, well, why are you, and I think I asked some of them, I go, well, why are you so quick to judge me positively and so quick to get into bed? And it's like, they said, look, Joe, you're a good looking, and they go, or why do you think these women should be having sex with me, these American women? And they said this. They said, look, Joe, you're a good looking guy, you're young, you're handsome, you're a nice guy, and you're a nice guy, you're pretty, decent conversations and down to earth. I don't understand. And I go, I don't understand American women. Is, in a sense, they were trying to ask, well, isn't that enough? Isn't that enough to date you? Isn't that enough for these girls to just, drop their panties and jump in the bed with you? And I was trying to explain to them, no, it's not. And I was trying to explain, these women want to know if I have some sort of future, if I'm economically viable. If I'm going to junior college, well, am I going to be going to med school? And am I going to train to be a fucking lawyer or a doctor or a banker or, a real estate mogul? Am I going to change my name to Donald Trump and get into commercial real estate and make a fucking fortune? And that's what I was trying to explain to them. Whereas all they really need to know is if I was just a nice guy, decent conversationalist, down to earth, cute, good looking, handsome. And I just thought, there you go. And I've always felt that way about sex. I go for starters, just to commit a 15-minute or 20-minute sex act, because that is evidence that, that is written by psychologists, that the average sex act really doesn't last more than 10 to 15 to 20 minutes. But yeah, women have to ponder, have to have all these things set in motions, unless you're a freaking celebrity. In order to do that quote unquote intimate deed, but yet, it's funny how somebody like Paul McCartney or a Brad Pitt or a Tom Cruise or, anybody with money, power, and fame, they'll say yes to a date with the snap at the snap of a finger, and then double snap, their panties are coming off even quicker. But anyway, but yeah, so that kind of sums up their personality, and that sums up kind of what I was dealing with, because I was over there for a month and I really mingled and socialized with a lot of women. I banged about five of them, slept with about 5 of them, socialized with several more, and all that. And that's basically them, and that's the sort of major difference I noticed at the time. Now, whether or not that girl that I dated and said, oh, you were dealing with the same thing, but just more on a lesser version that, you would deal in America if you were like some big fucking celebrity. And it's just like, well, whether or not here or there, here's the difference. Tom Cruise doesn't go out to dinner with a woman and talk about how he hasn't been laid for 9 months and how he just can't find a girlfriend and how he feels like a fucking loser and all this crap, and he's not a ladies' man and all this shit. I mean, I don't know how your American woman would do that if Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt or some big celebrity would say that to a chick. That might turn her off, or she might say, oh, come on, no, stop. I'm going to fuck you tonight. You don't need to worry. You know what I mean? But to an average guy like me, and these girls are saying, well, they didn't say what's wrong with you, they said what's wrong with the American women. But anyway, I mean, that's the case. That's just the case. But anyway, that's them in a nutshell. I had another story I wanted to tell, but I don't know, maybe I'll save it for another time. But that's just kind of what I wanted to share for you real quick. But anyway, that concludes the video, and I will talk to you later. Sayonara.